We've got clips of KJP, the Biden press person, absolutely taking down MAGA reporters who are very biased and just come to these events to try and farm clips for social media. And she just flawlessly provides factually based answers that shoot these down easily and thoroughly. So let's pull a few of the best ones and use them as a segue to discuss the Biden administration.
Anything, if you look at his foreign policy objectives and what he's been able to do and what the last administration did, the last administration ruined our relationships with our partners and allies. This president had to fix that and make sure that we actually mended our relationship with our partners and allies. And that's what we've been able to do. And a perfect example is what we're seeing with Ukraine being able to defend itself against Russia's aggression.
Trump did lots to hurt us abroad, so I'll try and cover the lot of it quickly. He recklessly pulled us out of numerous commitments, often against the will of his advisors. This hurts us in different ways pertaining to the individual deals themselves, but also big picture, as it makes us look like an untrustworthy negotiator, someone you wouldn't want to enter into a deal with because they're just going to renege on it later. Would you make a deal with someone if they're known to break them numerous times, just break these deals years down the line? No, you obviously wouldn't. No one in their right mind would. But again, it also hurts us with the individual deals, like for instance, the INF Treaty, which essentially prevented the spread of nuclear proliferation from a multitude of countries, like providing larger international security, less need for us to interfere in international places, especially preventing a US-Russia nuclear arms race, which pulling out of the deal only stands to exacerbate and enable, threatening international security, threatening our allies, Ukraine, you can think of it there, other places, and it increases the likelihood again that we will need boots on the ground in the future to right this wrong. He pulled us out of the UN Human Rights Council as a show to Israel that despite the UN calling out their war crimes and international illegal activity, that we would still back them. This literally clearly set the precedence for what's going on in Gaza with the genocide to this day. Trump has had a lot of failed dealings and trying to be tough on China, trying to pressure them to force them to pressure North Korea, which failed ostensibly and wholeheartedly, launching a costly trade war against them that ended up just our businesses, our consumers, our farmers bore most of the cost and the brunt from, rather than actually hurting China in any way, and choosing to attack Chinese tech firms that only stood to bolster China's reasons to lower its US dependence, which will cost us greatly economically in the long term. We could talk about his attempts to rein in Russia as an ally, withholding Ukraine aid unless they gave him dirt on Joe Biden, both of which contributed to Russia's escalation into invasion. But I think it's clear, and this is why world leaders had a drastically less favorable view of Trump than they do of Biden, and why Biden has had to work so hard to try to restore that.
The first one says Vice President Harris was never appointed border czar. There's never been such a position. It doesn't exist. Why are Democrats so sensitive about the vice president and the border?
Why are Republicans so sensitive about actually not owning up to them getting in the way of a border deal? Why? Why won't they own up to that? Why won't they own up to the last president told them not to move forward? It was a bipartisan deal on just right there, available to them, and they voted twice against it.
Not only did they do this recently in hopes to have something to run on in 2024 because they haven't had any policy successes in the last 4 years and they don't have a real platform in terms of the presidency, but back in 2021, they outright refused to legislate with Biden as well. One of his first goals as president was to legislate on the border. And since day one, Republicans have been unwilling to play ball, upset at Biden for overturning Trump's racist policies like the Muslim ban, like the separation of families, and then choosing not to help him craft any moving forward, setting themselves up to have the exact talking points that they won't shut up about to this day, even though they caused them. Because especially for MAGA voters, the optics are all that matters. They don't care if Republicans are the reason. The Democrats are in office, so if Republicans are calling them out, they feel like they're owning the libs, which is all they really like. That's all that matters to them, right? And also, to be clear on the actual situation at hand, border numbers are down 55%. They've been going down since Biden passed executive orders, and they're at levels that it was at when Trump left office, but Republicans don't want to talk about that because, again, it ends their talking point. Hell, I don't even want to talk about it because I don't agree with it. I would rather us expand our immigration and asylum system and allow for more people to come here and lower the illegality in it, the undocumented, the backed up work visas, and make it much easier and have much more methods and pathways to immigrate legally. But if the right's going to lie, then I'm going to correct.
Still talks about a threat to democracy. I mean, there are now 3 public attempts that were, or threats to the former president that we know of. Yeah. Iran being one of them, the shooter the other night. So how many threats are enough to lower the temperature?
The president has called on lowering the temperature. But here's the thing, Ed. It takes on all of us to lower the temperature. All of us. I hope you can read between the lines of what I mean by all of us. It takes all of us to take that action and to lower the temperature. And I think when you have a president that uses the Oval Address to talk about unity, not just once, he did it right after, sadly, right after the former president, the attempted assassination on the former president, talked about lowering the temperature then, and also talked about really denouncing, condemning political violence and how it has no place in this nation. He talked about, use the Oval Office to do just that.
This is just another disgusting thing that Republicans do anytime anything happens that they can apply any bit of culpability on Democrats for, whether it's justified or unjustified. Keep that in mind. They just want them to beg for sympathy, cry to be forgiven, and bend the knee and admit they were wrong the whole time and Republicans were right and the Republicans actually have the moral high ground, when they themselves would never do that about anything. A MAGA conspiracy theorist, because of Trump's rhetoric, directly attacked Paul Pelosi, where he was hoping to attack Nancy, but it just happened that he was the one home. And Republicans to this day just make fun of that and call it his gay lover rather than accepting any culpability. Pipe bombs were sent to Kamala and Obama and other Democrats strictly because, like, the person who did it said he did it because of Trump's rhetoric, but Republicans just say, oh, well, they pretend that Trump and their rhetoric had nothing to do with it. Again, not taking any culpability. Far right-wing groups attacked Gretchen Whitmer, and Republicans do everything they can to just call it fake, of which we've debunked extensively, and they won't even give an inch on the insurrection caused by the man they're voting for in 2024, the fake elector scheme, an attempt to subvert our election process, our democracy, but yet they want the left to apologize for calling Trump a fascist after he acts like a fascist. This is why we should never give an ounce of personal sympathy to these people who are just desperate for any way that they can again have the moral high ground that they lost. Maybe in 2003 when they lied about weapons of mass destruction to send American soldiers into war. If you enjoyed this video, we're Social Society. We're a commentary channel influenced by politics, society, and the economy. We are pretty left-leaning on this channel, but we're open to our right-wingers as well. The biggest thing here is having conversations that get everyone to the bottom of the truth. If that sounds like something that could interest you, consider smashing that subscribe button, leaving us a like, or even commenting on this video. We even have memberships available as low as $3 if you'd like to support, because the only way we become a society is together.